welcome to Sport Fit Hub and our first attempt at the 2-minute hot seat. I was getting away with just being able to be the guy that asked everyone else all the questions and stayed comfortable with that. And started thinking about, one, the length of those YouTube videos that we were putting out, and realizing, myself included, quite often don't necessarily want to sit there for 10 plus minutes to gather a bunch of information, right? We want to hear it, we want to get it right away. And so that, combined with getting some questions now from people looking for answers, I thought I would put myself on the hot seat and create something called the 2-minute hot seat, where I'll pull some questions, probably just 2 of them, we'll go 1 a minute, and see if I can't provide some information to everybody within a much shorter time frame, and just help you out through this tough and challenging time. So without further ado, because we got a 2-minute timeline, I got 2 questions that I thought were probably ones that apply to a lot of people out there. First one being, I'm a self-coached athlete. I use online programs. How would you suggest adjusting an athlete's program who is targeting a late June A race and an August A race? And from this area, being around in Edmonton and our weather timeline, I think that timeline is probably extremely applicable to a lot of people out there. We have some June races, and I know a number of people around here were very excited about the Penticton Ironman being back, so I know that was on a lot of people's calendars, as well as the runners out there. In May they probably had, they were looking at Calgary or Vancouver, and then as you head into the fall, there's lots of great exciting marathons as well. And I think most of us sort of like to provide lots to look forward to, so we tend to pick something big in the earlier part of the season, and then another one in the later part, just to test our improvements and such. So in answer to the question, I think it's a pretty, I don't know if you call it exciting opportunity, but the idea of flattening the curve, which is a term used a lot with the current pandemic, I think the same approach to our training would be extremely applicable. We're going to flatten the curve, we're going to flatten that progression a little bit. So we're still going to build programs to progress, but we're going to do it in smaller increments. We don't know when things are going to end around here. We don't want to be at our best in June. But at the same time, we're hoping that towards the end of the summer, we might have some opportunities to get involved in some exciting events again. So with that, I think I've witnessed a little bit more patience with athletes now. They're realizing that there's really not an immediate end in sight. So those who are picking online programs, I definitely, because I have the same thoughts. There's a lot of good platforms out there, and you'll sign up and you'll get an option to pick a base and then a build and then a specific and then a peak. And we all know the more exciting workouts probably come in the later stages. So, we might get into a base or build, but we want to get out of there pretty quick, and we want to get into that cool, high-end, challenging interval stuff. But I think with this opportunity of revisiting that base training, I really believe athletes will come out of this next round of training with a much more developed aerobic engine and feeling much stronger as they head into their specific and peak phases of training, hopefully towards the end of summer, as we hopefully get to put some events back on our calendar. So that would be the quick, easy adjustment, is to let yourself go back to that base training. Being a second round through it, you're probably going to have recently tested and hopefully improved. So everything is going to be at a much higher level, but it's going to be the similar structure of workouts. But now when you're doing your tempo or sweet spot, those numbers, still at that 85 to 95% range, but now they're going to be at an FTP that's a little higher. So you can still see the steps, progressing, things climbing a little bit, but it's going to be in a very patient manner. But I really believe that everyone will reap some benefit from that. get some good out of this unfortunate situation. Part B to that he threw in is he's kind of putting me on the spot. I'm always curious if coaches always do what they tell their athletes to do. And yeah, sometimes not so much. I'll blame that on the desire to just experiment and sometimes push things a bit to try it out first before I put it onto the athletes. But in terms of the balancing of training and bringing it back a notch, I'm testing and experimenting with a number of online platforms now because I'm getting lots of questions about those. So with an increased amount of riding and playing around on these different systems, what I'm doing is I'm just simply trying different workouts. But if it was a workout design that was meant to be a little bit more intense, I'm just strictly dialing back my FTP on that program, which means the intervals that are coming at me are going to be at a level suggested in terms of keeping to that tempo sweet spot area for your range of intervals and building up that aerobic engine. So that's how I'm doing it right now. And lastly, putting me on the hot seat, so to speak, is the moment of truth question. This person says, you have recommended many great ideas for dealing with our new daily stay-at-home routines. Sometimes it doesn't always fall into place as easily as it sounds when you recommend those ideas. Have you had any struggles with implementing any ideas you've recommended? Whoa. Well, that is the moment of truth, isn't it? We often feel like we're supposed to be a great example and have all the ideas and to a certain extent some of the answers to help people get through this in terms of maintaining health and fitness anyway. But yes, if the truth be known, I've talked often about a yoga routine that I desperately need. That was going to be sort of my evening, and we were going to be a real committed group here at this household in terms of keeping our weekday evenings somewhat normal, not turning every night into a Friday night. But in terms of that, I would admit then, and my moment of truth is that we have still had 2 to 3 movie nights over the course of the 5 weeknights, and there is definitely been a more regular routine of cakes, McCain cakes and ice cream, and even a glass of wine just to relax while watching that movie. So, overall, there's really nothing wrong with these things, but it's the idea that I've fallen out of a routine and haven't really committed in that area to something that I thought was important for getting through this long stretch, which I think we're in for. So I'm going to continue to work on those. We haven't done as many movies this week, nor cake, nor wine. So, it's baby steps. And I think in the future, as we hear from different people who are going to focus more on the emotional work in some upcoming podcasts, I think we also want to make sure that we don't put too much on ourselves that are going to increase stress, too much on top of ourselves above what's already been put on us. So, we want to look after ourselves. We want to stick to some routines, keep our health, but at the same time, we can't be beating ourselves up for things that we're doing because, we got to do everything we can to keep stress down, not add to it. So with that, I will wrap up this slightly longer than 2-minute hot seat, but I look forward to more questions and trying to help everybody out as best I can with what I know and what I will try to find out for you as the questions come in. Thanks everybody, and stay safe and healthy.